Namaste everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have come up with another important topic for you. The state of Kerala is on the verge of bankruptcy. Yes, you heard it right. The state which is known for its literacy rate, the state which is also called God's own country, is facing its biggest economic crisis just like Sri Lanka. State government employee salaries have been delayed. Those who got their salary are not able to withdraw the entire amount. Social security scheme of 55 lakh people have been put on hold, and now the state of Kerala is asking the center to bail it out.
With Pinarayi Vijayan sitting in Jantar Mantar in Delhi, is the most badly economically mismanaged state in
If you are wondering how economics and politics are linked, then you should see some earlier RBI research paper which indicated such forthcoming crisis. So if you are a concerned and sensible citizen of your state, then you should look up to such data so that your state does not end up like Kerala. So why Kerala ended up in such economic crisis? To understand this, let me first explain something called NBC, net borrowing ceiling. This is the ceiling that is put by the center on state on how much they could borrow in a single financial year, and this is decided by the Finance Commission of India. It is fixed at 3% of state domestic product for the financial year 23-24. So for example, state domestic product of Tamil Nadu is 1 trillion rupees. For this financial year, that it could borrow only up to 30 billion rupees in this year. If this is clear to you, then let us understand why the center is not allowing Kerala to borrow more. In financial year 23-24, the net borrowing ceiling of Kerala has been arrived at 32,440 crore. But in the past few years, Kerala has borrowed 3,140 crore extra. So this year center has deducted this amount and reached to the NBC limit of 29,300 crore for the state of Kerala. Now another rule says that a state can use 75% of its NBC limit in first 9 months of a financial year. But the state of Kerala has used up this limit in first 6 months only. So now the state require 15,000 crore rupees more than the NBC limit to run the state, and this is where the tussle between the central government and the state of Kerala has begun. So now the question arises, how did Kerala ended up in such a debt trap, and what is the way forward? So the first reason which I got is Kerala's spendthriftness in the wrong direction. How do I know this? Well, I looked at some of the economic indicators of Kerala, and this is where you should also pay some attention, because you should compare those same economic indicators for your state and look how your state is managing its finances. So the first indicator which I looked at is capital outlay as a percentage of net expenditure. That is how much a state is expending in building roads, buildings and other physical infrastructure as a percentage of its total infrastructure. Why this is important? Because 100 rupees if you spend in capital expenditure, you will get a return of 250 rupees in the long run. So where Maharashtra spent 13.14%, Tamil Nadu spent 12.2%, Kerala spent only 8% to capital outlay. Similarly, the next variable to check is committed expenditure as a percentage of total revenue receipt. In simple words, if you make 1 lakh rupees a month and you have 10,000 rupees to pay for rent, 12,000 rupees for groceries and 10,000 rupees for utilities, then you have a committed expenditure of 32,000 rupees. Similarly, in the context of state, committed expenditure are the compulsory expenditure that the state has to make out of its total budget, and these committed expenditure are generally government salaries, government employees salary, pension and interest payment. So if this committed expenditure is less for a state, then it has more money available for building better roads, infrastructure and welfare of the people. So in this indicator, where Tamil Nadu stands at 64%, Maharashtra stands at 56%, Gujarat stands at 46%, Kerala stands at 82%. In fact, in the year 2021, the average committed expenditure of all the states of India is 54.98%, whereas for Kerala it is 82%. In terms of personal finances, it is like you make 1 lakh rupees a month, and 70,000 rupees of this is going to groceries, rent and utilities, whereas your friends are spending only 55,000 rupees. So this is the status of Kerala in the second indicator. Then the next variable to check is interest payment as a percentage of net revenue receipt. That is how much a government has to spend for its principal repayment and interest as a percentage of its total revenue receipt. In terms of personal finances, it is like if you earn 2 lakh rupees a month and 1.5 lakh rupees of this is going for your home loan EMI, then obviously it sounds bad, right? So in financial year 2021-22, while other states spent 13.31% of its total revenue in interest payment, Kerala spent 19% of its revenue for interest payment. So clearly from this analysis we can understand that Kerala spent a lot more in short-term expenses rather than in long-term investment. Now some people will make it political and will say, you know what bro, center has discriminated against the state of Kerala. So let me tell you that this year Kerala has received 53,137 crore worth of revenue deficit grant from the central government as per the recommendation of the 15th Finance Commission from the period from financial year 21-22 to financial year 25-26, which is one of the highest in the country. So in spite of getting so much grant, why did Kerala ended up in such economic crisis? This is where I started digging even further, and I found out the second reason to be inefficient tax collection. The state of Kerala was collecting 12.4 rupees for every 100 rupees of state income in the decade from 1975 to 1986. This gradually declined to 9 rupees in 2018 due to GST and further declined to 6.9 rupees during COVID years. This is where Kerala government lost 25,000 crore rupees because they could not implement the IGST system, they could not implement the GST system properly. That is why the state government had no more choice but to take more debt. That is why the central government is calling the state of Kerala the most economically mismanaged state of the country. Now the question is, what is Kerala's justification for all this? Because if so much allegation is put on the state of Kerala, then it has also something to say, right? Well, they do. Kerala's finance minister argues that Kerala's share has been declined from something called the divisible pool of taxes, and this makes a lot of sense. So let us understand this carefully. Divisible pool of taxes is that portion of the tax collected by central government which is eligible to be distributed among different states. So for example, in the financial year 2023-24, central government collected total 1000 crore rupees, and this percentage normally ranges between 30 to 40%. So let's say the divisible pool percentage is 35.1%, then the amount that will be distributed among various states will be 351 crore. That is, the divisible pool will be 351 crore, which will be distributed among different states. Now this 351 crore rupees will be distributed among various states as decided by the 15th Finance Commission of India, and for Kerala this percentage is 1.92%, that is almost 6 to 7 crore. Now what Kerala government argues that in the 90s this percentage used to be 3.82%, but now this percentage has almost half to 1.92%. That's why the Kerala government is facing this shortage of fund. So this leads to the question that why is Kerala given such a less share, and how this share is decided in the first place? Well, this share is decided by the Finance Commission of India based on state size, area, population, tax collected of different state as compared to each other. If this is clear to you, then let's understand why the 15th Finance Commission distributed tax differently. In 14th Finance Commission, the population data of 1971 was given a weightage of 17.5%, while in 15th Finance Commission this weightage was reduced to 0%. Similarly, a lot of other parameter was also changed. So here is what Kerala government argues, that if Finance Commission given more weightage to 2011 population, then obviously it will get less share, because they have worked very hard to keep the population in control. So basically Kerala government is penalized by the center for keeping the population under check. And lastly, Kerala government has a problem with something called the inclusion of off-budget borrowing. Now I know this sounds a very difficult term, but let me explain this to you. Suppose Kerala government wants to build a new railway line, and this is a very expensive project. Let's say it cost 10,000 rupees, 10,000 crore rupees. Now Kerala government has already reached the NBC limit, so it cannot take any more debt. So what will the state government do? Will it keep quiet? No, they will use a public sector unit to raise this money. So let's call this PSU as Railway Infrastructure Limited. So Kerala government will use this PSU to raise money either from banks or through issuing bonds. Now the catch over here is that while paying back the loan, the Kerala government will pay back the loan from its future budget. So that borrowing which it has done, it will not come officially in the state's budget, but while paying back, it will have the obligation to pay back the loan. That is why it is called off-budget borrowing. Is it clear? If this is clear to you, let's come back to our original story. Kerala government has one of the highest off-budget borrowing in our country. In the year 2021, it has 22% of its total borrowing as off-budget borrowing, while Maharashtra and Gujarat had 0%. This is very dangerous, right? Because even though it is not increasing the official debt of the state government, it can grow uncontrollably through PSU borrowing, because there is no NBC limit there, right? So guess what? In March 2022, central government came up and said, listen guys, both your borrowing and off-budget borrowing will be included in your official state debt, total debt. So suppose so that the states cannot hide their borrowing through off-budget borrowing. So suppose any state has taken 1000 crore rupees extra as off-budget borrowing this year, it will get 1000 crore rupees less next year as its as the capacity it can take as debt. So suddenly a lot of state which had very huge off-budget borrowing came under trouble, and one of these state was the state of Kerala. And the Kerala government argues that this move is not fair, because if you want to rectify a problem in a complex economy like India, you cannot give a knee-jerk reaction. This is why you have to deal with the problem slowly and steadily. That is why the state of Kerala has come under this debt trap and now require 15,000 crore rupees more. So this brings us to the last part of our video, that is the lesson to learn from this case study. Lesson number 1. People should learn to cut through the chaos that the mainstream media puts up, and should judge government on the basis of these economic indicators. So kind request to you, go and judge this, go and see for yourself this economic indicator of your state and see how your state is managing its finances, because that's from there the real trouble may come. Lesson number 2. Whether you are the king of Dubai, the state government of Kerala, or an ordinary citizen, spending beyond your means would cost you heavily in the future. And lastly, whenever any economic crisis happens in any state or country, we the educated citizen should analyze the cause and the problem of it so that we don't make the same mistake. So that's all from my side today. I hope through this case study I have been able to make you understand so that you can judge your state's finances through these economic indicators. Jai Bharat.